This video covers how to write good student learning outcomes. Why do we want to use learning outcomes? Writing learning outcomes gives you a process that helps you clarify and focus on what it is you really want students to be able to do at the end of the course. They let students know what they really need to know. They also give you a place to focus your assessments, assignments, tests, projects. And then they help you focus what materials you use to get students to the point you want them to get to. What all of this does is help you organize your thinking. I know that whenever I'm working on a course, it's easy to want to do everything, to cram it all in, to put every piece in. Having clarified your thinking through writing learning outcomes, you can pick the things that are most important to the things that you really want to do, that you really want students to be able to do. So, what is a learning outcome? It's a statement about what students will know, value in your course, and be able to accomplish at the end. They have to be accessible. Here are some good examples of learning outcomes. You want them to describe what the students will be able to do. This is some good language for listing your own learning outcomes. They ask students to do a specific thing with the information that you've given them. And they can go from a very simple description to more complex analyses and applications. There are many ways to organize your learning outcomes. One of the most popular is Bloom's taxonomy as revised by Anderson and Krathwohl. And this allows you to think about the different categories that you might want to use to write your learning outcomes, from remembering facts to applying theories, formula, etc., to current or new material, to creating a new work. Learning outcomes should always start with an action. Here's a pretty good chart that aligns with the Anderson and Krathwohl version of Bloom. All learning outcomes should end in an output. So the words recall and remember aren't entirely the best choices. You want to have them do something like explain, describe, or define. Otherwise, this is a pretty good chart. We don't want to describe what's going on in students' heads. We want the learning outcomes to be about what they produce, that we can measure, that we can look at. When you're writing learning outcomes, you should keep several things in mind. All learning outcomes should be attainable by the student, not too specific or too general. And again, they should always be accessible. You should be able to measure them. What do we mean by attainable? It should be something students are able to do given the information that you've given them in class. They should be at the right level, neither too specific nor too general, so that they get to the bigger pieces of what you want them to get to. And you always want them to be accessible. You want to be able to create an assignment or a test or a project or any other assessment that allows you to actually measure whether students have achieved the learning outcome or not. If you follow these rules, you'll find that your learning outcomes actually help you figure out how to better help your students get through the class, knowing what you want them to know, being able to do what you want them to do. If you have any questions about this video, feel free to email us at moodlehelp@berkshirecc.edu.